Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
He's just coming to have a tour of the place since he has tons of friends who have money and would like to spend a weekend or two.
Are you still here?
We need to talk, sir.
But you are no longer working for me.
Ruth is still here because I did what you asked.
Feel love.
You feel what?
Mapenzi.
Oh, so now you're consulting Kisaka on matters concerning our family. Don't shush me. Yo tabia yako ya kiushamba utaacha. Get out of my way.
Kilifi County, muda umefika. Ni wakati wa sauti zenu kusikika na vizazi kuzungumza kwa uwazi. KBC Channel 1 inakuletea kipindi cha kipekee, Transgenerational Conversation. Jukwaa la vijana na wazee kuketi pamoja, kusikilizana, kuulizana maswali na kujifunza kutoka kwa kila kizazi. Safari hii tunatua kaunti ya Kilifi. Ni Alhamisi tarehe 23 mwezi huu kuanzia saa 1:30 jioni, moja kwa moja kutoka ukumbi wa Kibaoni Social Hall. Usikose kushiriki Transgenerational Conversation, sauti ya kila kizazi. Mazungumzo haya yameletwa kwenu na KBC kwa ushirikiano na NCIC, Korea International Cooperation Agency na UNDP. Good evening. This is Prime Edition coming to you live from Broadcasting House in Nairobi, Kenya. In the highlights tonight. It's exam season. 2025 KCSE kicks off countrywide with close to 1 million candidates taking part. Visa-free movement. Kenya and Senegal sign a deal to end visa requirements. Reading between the lines. Former CJ claims newly enacted law on computer misuse risks being used to curtail the right to political protest. Plus, don't sack, don't hire. Court bars Kiambu government from sacking striking doctors. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook and YouTube. Our sign language expert tonight is Lensa Odingo. I am Muchuma Odim. My colleague Tom Boyer will be with us next week, God willing. Kenya has inked a deal with Senegal poised to end the visa requirement to travel to Senegal and vice versa. The deal penned in State House during a state visit by Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye gives the green light for visa-free movement for citizens between the two countries with a validity period of 90 days. The two leaders also discussed other areas of cooperation in trade, energy, and peacekeeping. Nancy Okware with the details of the bilateral talks.
Excellency President William Ruto and His Excellency President.
Tuesday at State House, Nairobi, President William Ruto hosted Senegal President Bassirou Diomaye Faye a day after the duo attended the Mashujaa Day fete held in Kitui. During the bilateral meeting, the two countries signed a deal okaying a visa waiver agreement for holders of diplomatic and ordinary passports for not more than 90 days.
And are pleased to announce the conclusion of a new visa waiver arrangement that will allow citizens of both countries visa-free travel for up to 90 days.
According to President William Ruto, the move is key in promoting people-to-people engagements and promoting trade between citizens of the two countries.
This important milestone will foster stronger people-to-people ties and boost tourism, trade, and collaboration.
The two leaders vowed to ensure the trade potential between the two countries is well exploited by removing barriers.
We noted that trade volumes between Kenya and Senegal remains very low. To address this, we commit to working together to remove barriers, enhance transport and digital infrastructure while harmonizing standards and promoting business-to-business engagement.
Bilateral cooperation, in particular, economic and trade investment, are not reflecting the existing potential, and I remain convinced that we can do much more and we can definitely do better.
President Ruto was hailed for his efforts in ensuring peace and stability in the region.
I'm aware of your commitment in peace efforts in the sub-region, and I would like to congratulate you for that and encourage you to continue on that dynamics by promising that you will always be able to count on my personal commitment and Senegal's full support for the success in these initiatives of peace and security in the region.
Earlier in the day, Mozambique Prime Minister Maria Benvinda Levy paid a courtesy call to the president. During the visit, she signed the condolence book in honor of the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga.
The talks between the two leaders are meant to strengthen the relationship between the two countries that have lasted for over 5 decades. Nancy Okware, reporting from State House, Nairobi.
From State House to a story we highlighted for you at the beginning of the broadcast, former Chief Justice David Maraga has questioned the constitutionality and legality of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act and the Privatization Act recently assented into law. Maraga says the laws risk being used to curtail political dissent and protest, as well as give unfettered powers to the government to sell the nation's strategic assets, benefiting a few individuals at the expense of the country's progress. Here is that report.
The Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act and the Privatization Act that were part of the 8 critical pieces of legislation that are signed into law last Wednesday may be headed for legal battles.
Conference or press briefing.
Former CJ David Maraga has joined a section of Kenyans questioning the interest behind the new laws.
The amendments to the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, in essence, seek to control and crush political dissent and protests in the guise of expanding protections from cybercriminals.
Maraga says that the computer misuse and cybercrimes threatens the freedom of Kenyans to hold the government to account, as it gives powers to an unconstitutional committee to investigate, prosecute and judge, yet there are courts.
If there are any allegations, if there are anybody who is aggrieved by misuse of the social media, by people in the social media, the courts are there. Let the courts, those grievances be taken to court and be dealt with, but not to give to one individual, to one individual to deal with them. At a stroke of a pen, one individual can close several accounts, including all of us here.
Maraga and team also took issue with the Privatization Act, which they claim gives the National Treasury CS powers to sell strategic national assets without public participation.
In fact, the Act even exempts publication of the names of the buyers if the privatization is by an initial public offering, IPO. Simply put, if they sell to themselves or their proxies, the Kenyan people will not get to know. Simply put, if they sell even strategic assets to foreigners and put them beyond the country's control, the Kenyan people will not get to know.
Under the United Green Movement Party, the team has vowed to move to court.
Kenya Pipeline is not one of the loss-making parastatals, but it is up for sale. But I'm sure those who are buying are listening to this also. We will seek orders in those court petitions to declare whatever process that has been done illegally null and void.
Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
Let's now shift to prisons and tech. Defense Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya has told the Kenya Prison Service to harness technology to drive efficiency. Speaking during the official opening of Correctional Service Week, Tuya said technology will enable real-time data sharing, streamline case management, and enhance accountability in the criminal justice operations as compiled by Giverson Minor.
The 2025 Annual Correctional Service Week began on Tuesday, centered on driving efficient service delivery for the common good of the country. To achieve this, Defense Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya, who was the chief guest at the event, said at this digital era, the Correctional Service must tap into technology.
This spirit of kujituma, taking initiative and crafting local solutions is what defines a forward-looking, efficient corrections system.
Tuya also noting Kenya was keen to align with the new global shift that replaces old and cold punitive systems with human, professional and rehabilitative systems.
Studies by ICPA confirm that humane environments which are clean, well-designed and psychologically supportive lower tensions, reduce violence and curb reoffending.
Kenya Prison Service, the CSH should focus on vocational training and offender aftercare to ensure smooth reintegration of offenders back into the society after serving their sentences.
Countries like Norway, Canada, and Singapore are proving that when correctional facilities focus on education, rehabilitation, and reintegration, recidivism drops. Public trust increases.
Restorative justice invites us to see crime not as a violation of the law alone, but as a wound to people and relationships demanding healing.
Harmonizing our strategies and building networks of support, we can transform correctional systems into engines of restorative justice and social reintegration across Africa and beyond.
Correctional Services PA Salome Biako said the government is committed to modernize correctional facilities in the country through adopting renewable energy, green farming, and digitizing offender records, among other ways.
We are improving our legal and policy reforms, as well as expanding vocational and technical training programs within the correctional facilities to equip inmates with industry-relevant skills and certifications that promote employability and successful reintegration into society.
Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
The Employment and Labor Relations Court has granted conservatory orders stopping Kiambu County from dismissing special doctors who are members of KMPDU. Judge Helen Wasilwa has also granted a temporary injunction stopping recruitment of new specialist doctor by the county.
The Kiambu sacked doctors through their lawyer Henry Kurauka informed the court that their purported sacking and subsequent recruitment of new ones was unfair, unjust and violated labor laws and the constitution. The judge has certified the petition urgent and ordered the inter partes hearing on the 28th of October 2025. The over 700 health workers have downed their tools in Kiambu County, demanding resignation of Governor Kimani Wamatangi over alleged mismanagement of healthcare services. The over 4-month strike has disrupted health services within the county, a move that has led to patients seeking healthcare services in neighboring counties. This as the Council of Governors claims Health Cabinet Secretary Adan Duale is to be blamed for the crisis facing the health sector. Speaking during the 27th annual Kenya Clinical Officers Association Conference in Naivasha, the governors, through their health committee chair, said the ministry is on the verge of collapse due to constant policy shifts and poor coordination.
If we stopped politicizing that matter, we would have solved it 3 years ago. But every other time we move, number one, we have a challenge of high turnover of CSs in that ministry. Even before you have agreed with one, we are now in our third one, who is also becoming a bully. And we must say this, because this is a new expenditure, we want a conditional grant that will ensure, number one, these UHC staff for the next 2 or 3 years are assured of their salaries in the way they are, the SRC, because allowing them to just walk away and you are told go to counties, there's going to be a challenge. The second thing that size, the need to caution county government employees from losing their cover due to delayed exchequer disbursements.
SRC washaweza kupatia ile direction na wakasema allowances fulani ziongezwe kama risk allowance. Na wamekubaliana nasi.
Michael Mondiga for Prime Edition.
It's 13 minutes past the top of the hour and we are taking our first commercial break. Coming up, police recruitment will have to wait a little longer. We'll be giving you more details on that as we return after the break. We'll be taking you back to the labor courts. Stay with us.
Here with us. Hey! My name is Reverend Joseph Monene, seated with my sweetheart here, yes. Sue Monene. Yeah.
You never met? In fact, Monene was my Sunday school teacher. Oh, yeah.
Lea Premium Flour, nurturing the world. Available in a store near you.
Kilifi County, muda umefika. Ni wakati wa sauti zenu kusikika na vizazi kuzungumza kwa uwazi. KBC Channel 1 inakuletea kipindi cha kipekee, Transgenerational Conversation. Jukwaa la vijana na wazee kuketi pamoja, kusikilizana, kuulizana maswali na kujifunza kutoka kwa kila kizazi. Safari hii tunatua kaunti ya Kilifi. Ni Alhamisi tarehe 23 mwezi huu kuanzia saa 1:30 jioni, moja kwa moja kutoka ukumbi wa Kibaoni Social Hall. Usikose kushiriki Transgenerational Conversation, sauti ya kila kizazi. Mazungumzo haya yameletwa kwenu na KBC kwa ushirikiano na NCIC, Korea International Cooperation Agency na UNDP.
Tunatambulika kwa mandhari yetu ya kuvutia,
tamaduni zetu, ukarimu wetu, vyakula vyetu,
uchapakazi,
na pia kwa sauti tofauti za watangazaji wetu waliobobea.
Dibengo niko hapa aka upcoming sponsor. Bila shaka hapa ni kama Pedeshe, ma deep state pia vile cartels.
Tunaenzi talanta za pwani, tunakuza talanta za hapa kwetu nyumbani.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tuko mjengoni kama kawa na wanangu wengine wawili.
Usikose kutegea 103.1 Pwani FM, stesheni ambayo itakupa fursa ya kupata uhondo kamili wa pwani na kuleta Wakenya pamoja.
Pwani FM, tafrija kipwani.
Welcome back to Prime Edition. Continue talking to us on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook and YouTube. To other developments, the 2025 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education has officially kicked off, with learners sitting for the oral and practical examinations across the country. The practical exams are expected to conclude on October 31st before the written exams begin on 4th of November. A total of 996,078 candidates are sitting for this year's national examination in 10,765 centers. Our reporter Joseph Ohungu has the details of the examination timetable.
The 2025 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations kicked off Tuesday countrywide with no major incident reported, marking the official opening of this year's national assessment season. Candidates studying French and German languages were among the first to do their oral examinations. Similarly, students who elected music and Kenya Sign Language were also examined. Each candidate had 15 minutes allocated for the practical test, which ends Friday. Candidates being examined for Arabic language will conclude their oral exams on Monday, 27th October. According to the Kenya National Examination Council, written exams are scheduled to start on November 4th at 8 a.m., with learners sitting for mathematics in the morning session and English comprehension and literature in the afternoon. The exams will end on November 21st. 996,078 candidates are sitting for this year's KCSE exams in 10,765 centers. There are 12,126 supervisors, 54,782 invigilators, and 22,247 security officers deployed to oversee the exams. In a statement, NEC vowed to ensure the exams timetable is adhered to and all candidates uphold integrity during the examinations. Joseph Ohungu for Prime Edition.
Let's now shift to police recruitment, back to the labor courts. Those who had hopes to join the National Police Service will have to wait a little longer. This is after the Employment and Labor Relations Court promised to give its verdict on the police recruitment exercise after digesting the merits and demerits of stopping the process. The case filed by former Kilome legislator Haron Mwao seeks to bar the National Police Service Commission from taking part in the hiring exercise. Here is that report.
They at the Employment and Labor Relations Court and Justice Helen Wasilwa had submissions on the police recruitment also. In the petition, Arun Mwao, through his lawyer Martin Gitonga, argued there is a distinction between members of the service and persons holding or acting in offices in the service.
If indeed the National Police Service Commission was the body truly entitled to employ police officers, no doubt the Inspector General of the National Police Service would have been the chairman of that commission.
Judge Wasilos further told that it's the prerogative of the Inspector General of Police and the National Police Service to recruit, train, employ, assign, promote, suspend and dismiss members of the service.
In fact, the opening line of that advertisement is the Kenya Defence Forces is pleased to announce recruitment drive. So similarly, in our case, we are saying it is a National Police Service that also equally, as a national security organ, possess that mandate to recruit and not the National Police Service Commission.
On the other hand, the National Police Service Commission stated its role in the managing human resource functions in the service is constitutionally established under the 2010 Constitution.
The Inspector General does not have powers of appointing to office and terminating services in the National Police Service, and that is a preserve of the National Police Service Commission.
The Commission also traced its establishment to post-2007 election reforms, noting that its creation was a deliberate constitutional response to the findings of the Commission of Inquiry into the post-election violence.
Subject to this Constitution and legislation, Roman 2, appoint persons to hold or act in those offices. It enables the Public Service Commission to establish those offices or abolish those offices under one.
The petition filed by Mwau on September 36 to nullify the police recruitment advertisement published on September 19th, claiming that the NPSC has no authority to hire uniformed officers.
The nature of the petition and the agency involved in it, I propose to deliver your judgment on the 30th of this month, which is next week, on Thursday.
With the petitioner averring that persons acting or holding offices in the service have no power to employ or train, the National Police Service Commission warned the court to strike out the case, citing it raises security concerns that has halted the process. Ruth Wamboy reporting for Prime Edition from Milimani's High Court.
From the courts to security concerns, a family in Homa Bay is demanding justice following the death of their kin, Yvonne Lucy, who died while receiving treatment at the intensive care unit after sustaining gunshot injuries in an alleged police shooting. The officer suspected of firing the shot is reported to be in police custody. However, the family claims he has been making repeated phone calls to the victim's family, urging them to drop the matter and pushing for the case to be transferred from Homa Bay law courts to Kendu Bay. Here is that report.
Yvonne is reported to have passed on in Homa Bay on Thursday, sparking outrage from the family, who are demanding justice. According to the family, she was shot by a police officer who had fired his weapon to disperse a crowd who had gathered in memory of the late former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. The family is accusing the police of allowing the suspect to access his mobile phone while in custody, saying he was likely to interfere with the ongoing investigations.
Na huyu jamaa ambaye amefanya hiki kitendo anapigia marafiki wangu ati nimsamee. Sasa namsamea kwa nini? Na sijui alijua alipiga my daughter ama alijua alipiga nani. Saa hizi tuko hapa 5 minutes ago anapigia my son ati tusiende court Homa Bay, tuende court Kendu Bay. Kwani kitu litendeka Kendu Bay ama litendeka Homa Bay?
They question why the officer appeared to enjoy privileges despite being under investigation for a murder-related offense.
Haki yetu lazima tupate.
But it's also saddening if the police officer who is said to have killed her is calling me and he keeps on calling our family. So I wonder where this police officer gets the phone and is in custody to continue calling me and also calling friends of my dad so that they can talk to us.
A stray bullet reportedly struck Yvonne, who was heading home from her business. She was pronounced dead hours later while undergoing treatment. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPO, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, DCI, have since taken over the matter as investigations continue.
I know IPO and DCI already have the case, but we want to see justice to come. However much it might delay because it's a case of murder. But we as a family, we want to see justice for my sister.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Let's take you to the counties. In a report compiled by Khalid Abdullahi, dairy farmers in Githunguri, Kiambu County are raising concern over the supply of poor quality animal feeds, which they say has drastically reduced milk production and affected supply of milk to processed plants. These and more stories in newsmaking headlines in the counties.
At the Githunguri Stadium during the annual general meeting of the Githunguri Dairy Farmers Cooperative Society, hundreds of farmers voiced frustration over what they termed as declining milk yields caused by substandard animal feeds.
Isipokuwa serikali inachukua ushuru mwingi sana. Kutengeneza maziwa kilo moja inakosti mkulima pesa mingi. Kwanza chakula iko bei kali sana.
They also decried the high taxation on dairy farming products, saying it continues to push up the cost of production while lowering profits.
You find the cost of producing the dairy meals and the other concentrates have gone up. So some farmers have opted not to give. So that has seen a slight reduction.
While in Machakos County, the government has been urged to extend education funding to students in private technical colleges. During a graduation ceremony, stakeholders in the private technical training sector voiced concern over the growing number of students unable to pay fees due to financial hardships.
It is common knowledge that our students have no access to help loans or scholarships as they are considered private and presumed financially able to fund their studies. This misconception is discriminative as there are no public and private students, all are Kenyans.
Elsewhere, Migori County Assembly has convened a special sitting to honor the late former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, recognizing his lifelong struggles and sacrifices that shaped Kenya's democracy and devolution system.
All of us here, including members of the press, are enjoying the freedom we have today because of Raila Amolo Odinga. As assembly members, the staff, the workers, and all Kenyans, devolution has brought power, has brought resources, has brought decision making and accountability down to the villages, as you may be aware. And all this is because of one man called Raila Amolo Odinga.
Finally, young people have been urged to embrace research and innovation as key drivers of Kenya's future development. Speaking during the 13th graduation ceremony of Mary University of Science and Technology, Vice-Chancellor Professor Romanas Odhiambo said universities play a vital role in shaping ideas and driving innovation.
The theme of transformation is not just for you. It is a call to the entire nation. The government is building a robust ecosystem to support your journey from idea to enterprise. In a major policy shift to signal the centrality of innovation, His Excellency the President has moved the agency, the Kenya National Innovation Agency, known as Kenya, to be domiciled in the Executive Office of the President.
It's 28 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for us to switch to business news. And Wairimu Njenga is here with us in studio. Wairimu, good evening.
The world of governance is vast and can be alien to the ordinary man on the street.
Critical issues are going to be discussed.
From white papers to policy positions, it is easier to get lost in the labyrinth of words.
Inside Government takes you to key global metropolis where critical decisions are made and where policies are crafted.
We interview policymakers and senior government officials to highlight and enumerate government policies and projects. We take a deep dive into the underbelly of complex red tape to demystify policies across the country, across the world. Join me, O'Brien Kimani, on Inside Government, only on KBC Channel 1.
Watu wanaenda kanisani. Wewe unaenda kulewa, unarudi ukianguka kwa barabara.
Badala unipigie makofi, unanipigia kelele.
Tukavurugana juu ya madeni ya Elijah. Bado unamkubalia akunywe. We, makubwa.
Nilijipata huko aje?
Haukumbuki jambo lolote lile.
Sasa tutoto wapi huyu mtu shwali? Wewe ndio ulikuwa hope yetu. Hope ya nini tena? Kila kitu kilifanyika mbio sana.
Umenisaidia sana kwa swala hili. Hebu ngoja kwanza hapo umebeba nini?
Ni Tumaini nimekuletea tu exchange na kaamnyeso.
Hebu twende. Mimi sitaki tabia. Nilikwambia tabia hii ukome lakini
Straight to business news. My name is Wairimu Jenga. The International Fund for Agricultural Development has rolled out agribusiness hubs to support young people access credit for working capital and skill training to ensure their venture is sustainable. Here is Benson Rioba with the details.
Kenya is among African countries that are struggling with the limited working capital for the agriculture sector that receives less than 10% of total lending from commercial banks. Players in the agriculture sector are calling for restructuring of the financial systems to empower more youth access credit.
In agriculture for too long, we have been focusing on only production. And right now the focus is to do value addition. And that is why the government of Kenya is rolling out county aggregation and industrial parks.
The International Fund for Agricultural Development has rolled out a 5-year agribusiness hubs project that will create an integrated financial system to support the youth.
We are working with the government of Kenya very closely to ensure that they have access to financing. So under our rural financial project, we're ensuring that youths have the requisite, first of all, skills to grow their businesses and then skills to also manage their business.
The hubs will connect young people to opportunities for skills development, entrepreneurship support, finance, markets and networking.
Give the youths the skills which are required at the present and in the near future, maybe 5 to 7 years or 10 years.
In farming is when you take your produce to the market and you having followed the right practices, you get your yield that is enable you to break even, that you are earning.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
A formal inquiry has in the affairs of Afya Savings and Credit Cooperative Society Limited has commenced following reports of financial irregularities involving over $500 million shillings. The Commissioner of Cooperatives Development, David Obonyo, has directed that the probe into the Afya Sacco's bylaws, working and financial conditions, and the conduct of both current and former management teams.
Through Gazette Notice number 15139, the Commissioner for Cooperative Development has appointed Peter Kiama, who is a Deputy Commissioner for Cooperative Development, and Stephen Kiritu Mwangi, who is the Assistant Commissioner for Cooperative Development, to lead the inquiry within 21 days. The attention of all officers and members of the society is directed to sections covering of cost inquiry, recovery of costs, offences and surcharges under the Cooperative Societies Act. The notice reads in part, the move comes in the wake of flagged questionable withdrawals, undocumented payments and irregular cash transactions totaling more than 550 million shillings at Afya Sacco between 2022 and 2024 by the Sacco Societies Regulatory Authority, SASRA. The regulator has subsequently directed the Sacco to close its cash office, suspend certain allowances and recover irregular payments made to past officials. The inquiry team is expected to report its findings to the Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development. The regulator is also pushing for enhancement of the regulatory framework to adequately protect members' deposits from mismanagement by those entrusted with leadership. Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Trade uncertainty, debt and falling investment among developing countries will take center stage in the ongoing discussion at the 16th United Nations Conference on Trade and Development in Geneva. Acted Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan warned that these issues are weighing heavily on poor countries and highlighted that the new trade patterns, clean technologies and artificial intelligence offer a chance to reshape the global economy for greater inclusion and resilience. United Nations Conference on Trade and Development opens in Geneva, bringing together 195 member states to engage in high-level dialogue on global trends and assess pressing trade and development issues, weighing policy options and craft multilateral responses. Under the theme Shaping the Future, Driving Economic Transformation for Equitable, Inclusive and Sustainable Development, discussions will examine how countries can navigate today's uncertainties with a focus on practical routes to resilient supply chains, fairer finance, productive investment, and all-inclusive digital economy.
Global investment flows are retreating for the second year in a row, eroding tomorrow's growth. And 2.6 billion people remain offline, most of them women in developing countries. Freight costs are now too volatile, hitting landlocked countries and small island developing states.
UNCTAD Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan noted that the geographical growth has shifted, with 3/4 of it coming from the developing world, adding that trade itself is changing. Clean technologies are undergoing a boom, and data now flow across borders that containers cannot cross.
If we stay on the defensive and continue with business as usual, yesterday's commodity dependence will be tomorrow's destiny. Today's debt burdens will become permanent features of the landscape. The digital divide will grow too wide to bridge.
Across more than 40 high-level sessions, the leaders called for bold and effective reforms to rebalance the rules of global commerce, decisive action on debt, bridge the digital divide, and ensure climate justice is reflected in trade and investment, especially for least developed countries. Kenya has embarked on marine spatial planning that will enable data-driven investment in the blue economy. Kenya is the latest country to adopt this integrated framework that views investment in ocean resources as the new frontier for economic development. Judith Akolo reports about this new endeavor that will use data to inform the allocation of human activities within marine areas.
Marine spatial planning is a public data-driven process used in the allocation of human activities in marine areas in order to achieve ecological, economic, and social objectives. Marine spatial planning in Kenya is being coordinated by the Ministry of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs in collaboration with line ministries and other government agencies. According to the Marine Spatial Planning Coordinator for Kenya, Dr. Jacqueline Uku, the process involves balancing various marine uses.
When we look at the sea, many times we only see fisheries. There are so many other uses. There's tourism, there's boat use, marine cables, energy. We can have wind energy, solar energy from the ocean space, and so many other things. We can do aquaculture in the ocean. We do it on the coastline, but we can aspire to enhance our blue economy in our coastal region, to use the ocean more.
Dr. Uku, who led a team of physical planners to the counties of Tana River, Kilifi, Mombasa, Lamu, and Kwale that border the Indian Ocean, explained that marine spatial planning is about safeguarding ocean spaces and guiding on its uses.
And so we'll be looking also at the historical ocean, the behavior of the ocean historically, so that we're able to provide safeguards for the future. We've also learned today that Tana River is the maternity for fish. It's nursery grounds. We will be mapping those so that we safeguard them and conserve them. We do not want a developer to come and put structures that would change that function. So we are looking at ocean functions, potentials for use for the future.
Tana River County government is keen on leveraging marine spatial planning to balance ecological sustainability and economic development.
Muda hivi sasa bahari, yale maji yamekuwa yakiingia
katika mashamba. Katika huu mradi kuna components ambazo zimewekwa kujaribu kudhibiti ile hali. Katika ile plan kutakuwa na projection ambayo itatuonyesha sisi kuangalia ni mikakati gani ambayo tutaweka kama counties ambazo zimeathirika kuweza kudhibiti swala hili na pia kuchunga ama kuhifadhi livelihoods za wale wananchi ambao wanakaa maeneo hii.
Judith Akolo, Channel 1 Business.
Commercial International Bank is banking on a new way of assessing business borrowers based on their cash flows as opposed traditionally collateral to grow its market share in Kenya. CIB Group Chief Finance and Operations Officer Islam Zeki says this a model that Egypt headquartered lender is keen on replicating for its Kenyan subsidiary.
International Bank, which is Egypt's largest private bank, entered the Kenyan market in April 2020 after acquiring a 51% stake in Mayfair Bank, which was associated with former Gatanga Member of Parliament Peter Kenneth. The lender will in January 2023 buy the remaining 49% stake to fully acquire Mayfair Bank, leading to rebrand to CIB Kenya. CIB hopes to leverage Kenya to anchor its expansion in the sub-Saharan African region.
CIB is the biggest private bank in Egypt, and absolutely we are chasing growth opportunities around the Comesa corridor. That's why we are in Nairobi. Nairobi is our African headquarters as we speak. We are expanding around Comesa corridor from Nairobi.
The expansion will be anchored on cash flow lending model as opposed to relying on assets or collateral. This means as a business, all you need to do is to demonstrate how you will make money to repay the loan to access the credit.
The service model, the relationship management model we build, the expertise we build with a specific knowledge around the specific sectors we are expanding in will be the secret sauce for expansion over there. Already here around the group since almost 20, 30 years. And by the way, that's the applied model in Kenya as we speak. All the transactions is on a cash flow basis.
CIB is keen on leveraging the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to position itself for trade, finance and diaspora remittance.
For a bank operating in North Africa, there are two corridors we are chasing for an Egyptian bank. So technically, the remittance corridor, where the money comes from the Egyptian diaspora back, is a corridor we are chasing. The trade corridor, which is to a great extent around the east side of Africa, is another corridor we are chasing.
CIB views the higher capital requirements for banks in Kenya as an opportunity to increase its investment.
Small and medium enterprises have been urged to invest in technology solutions that increase efficiency to reduce costs of operations. Tech players say MSMEs can scale faster if they adopt the right technology to handle tasks that take up their time away from the core business.
Micro, small and medium enterprises account for over 80% of employment in Kenya and contribute significantly to the GDP. Despite the fundamental role they play, the majority of MSMEs operate in the informal sector, limiting their access to markets, supply chains, infrastructure, services, financing, and further compromises their overall business growth. Players say technology adoption is key in integrating these enterprises into the formal sector, which will help them to gain an identity, open up to the numerous business opportunities along their value chains, and inform government policies and interventions for the sector.
Technology is something which has no barrier to adopt. First one is small and medium businesses. When they adopt our technology, what they feel is, am I paying the right price for what software is? Because when it comes to software, everybody has in mind that software is very expensive. If I run a small business, should I have a software? Or rather, I can just use an Excel sheet and I can run my business. Right? That is the first thought. So that is the first thought which we want to break.
If you are in control of your data, that means you are in control of your business. Now, Tally gives you the flexibility of analyzing the data in the most simplest way and the most flexible way you want to do. So it gives you whatever insights a business owner needs to make his business more efficient and more profitable. That's the ultimate goal of a business, right?
Government has been called upon to play its role in opening up the markets for MSMEs to thrive.
It's been interesting setting up a business over there in Kenya, long time back. I've heard there's a lot of bureaucracy that has to be passed through. I gave up on the idea. I spoke to a couple of people, gave up on that idea. But I met with the ambassador over here to UAE, the Kenyan ambassador, and I plan to get in touch with him and yourself to try and set something up over there. It'll be easier for me to help my customers in East Africa if we have a distribution point over there.
Betty Kiptum, Prime Edition.
Makes the end of tonight's business news. Daniel Wahome is up next with the day's sports. My name is Wairi Mujenga. Tomorrow is another day.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Chapa unakuwa humiliated mbele ya watu, lakini unapata uwezi shtaki, sababu ukishtaki utafungiwa barabara ya kwenda bunge.
Kondo ya mwisho na nini? Na kufi. Na katika ulimwengu ya kiroho, unajua litwango hiyo kofi ni Mikaeli. Sasa mimi naulisha wewe. Bila nabii ungekuwa wapi?
Mimi angekuwa Bachona.
Unajua utapata shida.
Wewe ndio malaika ama sijakuelewa bado?
No. I'm his prophet.
Huyu yeye ni nani anawababaisha hivi?
Bila anakusomeanga maisha yako vile iko.
Na wewe unaamini?
Makwa. Ni kweli sasa. Ulikuwa umejua list ya millionaires ulikuwa umeingia.
Lehamba ya papa.
One of the millionaires.
Billionaire?
Si ndio? Akinirutisha tu kwa hiyo namba. Tafadhali nirutishe.
Very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Prime Edition Sport. The Gambia national women's football team is expected in Kenya tomorrow for their crucial 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Kenya's Harambee Starlets, who are raring to make their second appearance in the continental showpiece. Starlets will host the first leg first round match at the Nyayo National Stadium on Friday, before the return leg on Tuesday next week at the Stade Dior in Senegal.
Harambee Starlets have 2 days left to prepare for their two-legged Women Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against the Gambia, and the team is hopeful that the work they've put in will propel them to a first-leg victory on Friday. The players, led by Ruth Ngosa and Violet Nanjala, say they have loaded their ammunition ready for the tie, as most of them hunger for a chance to play at the continental tournament to be staged in Morocco next year.
Hii ni opportunity ya wengi wetu hapa kucheza AFCON, so najua game ya Friday, najua itakuwa easy, but kulingana na tizi tumetrain, I think itakuwa easy kwetu, so sisi tuko ready kama wachezaji.
Tuna imani hiyo session yenye tumepewa na coach, na matumani yetu ni kushinda hiyo game ya on Friday, na tuko na morale iko juu, players wanajituma, na we really need these 3 points at home.
As loaded as they are still calling on Kenyans to turn up in large numbers to support them given their home advantage. Starlets are aiming to make a return to the Women's Africa Cup of Nations for the first time since their debut appearance in 2016. The 16th edition of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations will be played from the 17th of March to 3rd of April next year in Morocco.
And FC Dynamo were crowned champions of the Mashujaa Day Cup after beating AFC Leopards Youth by a goal to nil at the Itaokwe Stadium in Kitui in a football game that was set alongside the Mashujaa Day celebrations. Makueni County para-volleyball team won the Mashujaa Volleyball Cup after beating Kitui sitting volleyball team in straight sets.
Kitui's FC Dynamo clinched the 2025 Mashujaa Day Cup after a hard-fought 1-0 win over AFC Leopards Youth at the Ithokwe Stadium in front of a charged home crowd. Enoch Ouma netted the goal for the FKF Division 1 side from the penalty spot to pocket $500,000 shillings for lifting the title, while losers AFC Leopards Youth received 300,000 shillings.
Tunashukuru serikali pia kwa kutujengea ground, itatuleta pamoja, pia italeta pia maplayer wenyewe wana grow, pia italeta pamoja pia, na pia kwa sisi itatusaidia pia katika mechi zetu.
Next weekend tutakuwa na game yetu ya kwanza ya ligi Division 1, so inatumotivate a lot, inapatia maplayer moral, wakienda ku kickstart new season, at least watafeel wako proud of something before season ianze. Tunaichukulia kama community shield yetu tukienda kuanza season.
Meanwhile, Makueni County Para volleyball team humbled Kitui sitting volleyball team in 3 straight sets at the same venue to also be crowned Mashujaa Day champions.
Waorganizers wa serikali kuu wamekuwa wakidhibiti na kutupatia nafasi kama City Volleyball sana sana kusensitize, kuonyesha mchezo, na zaidi ya yote kuonyesha kwamba mlemavu ako na talanta na akipewa nafasi anaweza njimudu, na vile umeona ni kwamba mchezo ni mzuri na kuna wachezaji bora.
The matches were organized by the Ministry of Sports as part of the 2025 Mashujaa Day celebrations.
And Kenyan boxers registered mixed results at the ongoing Africa Zone 3 Boxing Championships at the Kasarani Gymnasium today. Faith Nafuna sailed through to the women's flyweight semi-finals after outboxing her Tanzanian opponent Safarina Fusi in the 3-round quarter-final bout, as African champion Edwin Okongo failed to progress to the finals of the middleweight category. Nafuna, who made her international debut during the 2024 African Boxing Championships, sustained the pressure from the first bell, unleashing jabs that occasionally sent her opponent to the ropes. She outmaneuvered her opponent in all 3 rounds to qualify for the semi-finals and be the sole silver lining on a day that her male compatriots were outwitted yet again. African middleweight champion Edwin Okongo was eliminated in the semi-finals of the men's middleweight division by DRC's Wetu, while the 2024 Africa Boxing Championships winner Clinton Masheria lost by 4 points to 0 to Emo Mukwasa. 120 boxers from 9 countries are competing in the championship that will come to an end on Friday. Kenya is being represented by 35 boxers in the Zone 3 Championship that initially had attracted 12 nations before Burundi, Somalia and the Central African Republic withdrew from the competition. City of Doha will host the opening leg of the 2026 Diamond League on the 8th of May, with the final being held in Brussels in September. The series will head to Shanghai, China, after 8 days, where most of the sport's biggest names will be out to make history once again on the 17th edition of the Diamond League. The African leg of the series will take place in Rabat on the 31st of May before the first European meeting of the season. It takes place in Rome on the 4th of June, after stops in Stockholm, Oslo and Paris on the 7th, 10th and 26th of June respectively. The world's biggest stars will head to Eugene, Oregon on the 4th of July for a meeting which has seen 5 world records broken in the past 3 seasons. The series then returns to Europe for meetings in Monaco and London on the 10th and 18th of July, respectively. Lausanne, Silesia and Zurich will be the last stops in August before Brussels hosts the final on the 4th and the 5th of September. Newly crowned world champions Emmanuel Wanyonyi, Faith Cherotich and 1500-meter finalist Nelly Chepchirchir were among the winners of the Diamond League last season.
Wanyonyi's starting to look a little bit tired, and they're all coming now around the bend. The gap is getting closer. Bergen looks so strong. Arup is coming on the outside as well. The British athlete pushing the Olympic champion. Wanyonyi and Bergen, who's going to get the line? It might be Wanyonyi just hanging on. 1:42.37. Max Bergen almost taking.
And a total of 53 swimmers are taking part in the inaugural Africa Aquatics Open Water Swimming Championship, which began today at the Nyali Beach, Mombasa County. The 3-day championship, which culminates on Thursday, will see the swimmers contest in the seniors and juniors categories. Kenya has fielded teams across the categories in the competition that is being used by Kenya Aquatics to gauge its swimmers as well as offering them exposure. The opening day of the championship saw swimmers tackle the 5-kilometer event, while the 3-kilometer and the 1.5-kilometer mixed relay race will be held tomorrow and Thursday, respectively.
I don't know that's a cool down, but congratulations, let's go to give up a round of applause.
So happy to have hosted people here, and we also wanted to get that experience, one of hosting, and also for our athletes to get more exposure in the open water so that we can also train and be able to rival the best open water swimmers in the world.
We see two countries on the top is South Africa and Egypt, but it is why we want to promote open water, because you know that the facilities in Africa is not a lot in the country, but we can swim everywhere.
Across our borders, West Ham United slipped to their 5th home defeat in a row as they lost by 2-0 to Brentford last night at the London Stadium in the English Premier League. In Spain's La Liga, Alaves drew 0-0 with Valencia, while the Italian Serie A side Cremonese and Udinese played 2-1 draw.
Won 2-0 to earn their first Premier League away win of the season. In the Spanish La Liga, Valencia went a 4th straight game without a win as they were held to a barren draw at Alaves on Monday night. In the Italian Serie A, Cremonese could not hold on to an early lead as they were held to a 1-0 draw at home against Udinese, that being their 4th draw in 5 Serie A matches.
Zaniolo, lovely first touch. Now he looks to find Bayo. He's released him too. Bayo, Atta, Zanoli, and Zaniolo! Udinese level. Niccolò Zaniolo equalises 5 minutes into the second half.
So that's the sport for tonight. We're keeping up with the Africa Zone 3 boxing, but for those of you who love European football, Barcelona 6-1 winners over Olympiacos Piraeus, while Kairat Almaty and Pafos ended 0-0. Of interests: Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen against PSG, Copenhagen against Dortmund, Newcastle United are playing against Dortmund, FC Copenhagen against Dortmund, Newcastle against Benfica, PSV against Napoli, Royal SG against Inter Milan, and Villarreal against Manchester City. All those matches kicking off at 10 p.m. in the UCL. We shall have the full report tomorrow. My name is Daniel Wahome. Back to Irene.
Thank you, Daniel, for the sports bits. Earlier on, we had Wairi Munjenga with the business bit. Thank you, our audience, for your feedback and your company on our social media platforms. Quick acknowledgements, and this is also in regards to reactions that we have received, especially on the stories that are touching on the Labor Relations Court. One on the striking doctors in the county of Kiambu, and 2 on the police recruitment. Quick acknowledgements on a few: Joel Mudharimi, Calvin Wangwe, Elias Rotich, Ken Wakaba wa Nyawira. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your feedback on our social media platforms. I am Muchuma Odim. Our sign language expert tonight is Lensa Odingo. Good night. God bless you.
Tushinde.com. Cheza safe, cheza smart. Gambling is addictive.
not for persons under the age of 18 years.
Dosi amenala, sukuma moja. Wewe pia ndio muoga. Ndio maana Master Demi ilikupita.
Demi haiko nipita bwana. Mimi najaza entry ticket zangu. Wewe hata unajua namba ya kusenda.
Sini star 419 hash.
Option.
Ni Probox. Bwana finya hiyo kitu.